morning, I'm not going to be long before you. I want to start by telling you a story, a true experience I encountered in Baltimore some time ago. But before I do that, we want to go to the Lord in prayer. So let us bow our heads, if you don't mind. Lord, I enter into your presence to ask for your grace and mercy that is new to me every morning. I enter into your courts with praise and thanksgiving, not for who I am, but for who you are in me and all that you have done in my life. Lord, I come boldly this morning before you, asking that you forgive me of all of my sins I have committed against you and my brothers and sisters. Lord, I pray that the wisdom you share with me may also be received by the waiting congregation. I pray that the love you have shown me in my hours of need, you showed also to this congregation. So I ask you, Father God, if you would just hide me behind that cross. I ask you, please, to increase while you allow me to decrease. I ask that you let the words of my mouth this morning and the sweet meditation of my heart be acceptable, pleasing, only in your sight, because you are my strength, the rock, and you are my redeemer. So I pray this in Jesus' name. And my soul says amen. Amen. Again, as I said, I want to start this morning by telling you about a true experience I encountered in Baltimore some time ago. I was on a bowling league, believe it or not, at my old school. And we was having our playoffs. We had a 5-man lineup, and the game was to start at 6:30. I arrived, and I did my warm-up, just as the other members of my team. We was all a little nervous, hoping that the real game would be better than the warm-ups. At 6:30, the other team had not shown. At 6:45, the team still hadn't shown up. The captain of the team stated we had won the game. I jumped up and screamed, how could we have won the game and we had not rolled a ball? The captain stated the other team had suffered defeat by default.
By default, my.
So this is my theme. Defeat by default.
My God.
And if you allow me again to look at the first scripture that came from Ecclesiastes 9:11, it says these words again. Ecclesiastes 9. Here now let's see. And 11. I returned and saw the sun that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, nor greed to the wise, nor riches to men of understanding, nor favor to men of skill, but time and chance happen to them all. Philippians 4:13. see what Brother Paul has to say to us.
Your man.
That's my man, yes. My man Paul. I can do all things
All things.
through Christ that strengthens me. Right. And in this sermon this morning, I shall address the meaning of defeat, emancipators who built the bridge between defeat and default, how to overcome defeat. I was puzzled. I knew what defeat was. I had experienced so much of that in my life. I had seen blacks suffer defeat in the hands of unfaithful people when I went to school. We had to go to an all-black school, and we had to use hand-me-down books. When we went to the movies in a little town called Bel Air, we had to go through an alley, up some narrow steps, and sit in a box area. I knew what defeat was, all about it, but I could not clearly understand default.
All right.
Couldn't understand it. So I went to the dictionary and I looked up the meaning of default. And it said this: when you fail to appear, when you fail to attempt to defend yourself,
All right.
when you fail to get engaged in the battle, in the battle. In the world of technology, default is the norm for the computer. You can change any default setting to any setting you want. You can change the margin, spacing, and justification.
Yes, you can.
And you see, that's why we won and the other team failed to show. They failed to participate. In many walks of life, my brothers and sisters, we are losing battles that we never entered because we were not there when our voices had been heard. We never entered the race. We never tried.
All right.
Our energies were spent with those timid souls who knew neither victory or defeat. They just criticized the person that did try. And that is what we are doing today. It is a sad commentary of life to see thousands of human beings who are suffering defeat
Go on.
by default.
Go on.
They are existing homeless
Go on.
in one of the richest countries in the world.
Go on.
People who have nowhere to go except to the back alleys, living in the parks and sleeping under the bridges, living under the gun of a dunghill of life, carrying everything they own on their back or in a sleeping bag.
You go on.
What is their American dream? A cardboard box large enough to sleep in. They didn't get enough money to sleep in a flop house. Don't have enough to eat, but they are eating from dumpsters or soup kitchens. Poor lost souls
Go on.
that are looked down by the public and are harassed by the police. Arrested not because they have done something,
Go ahead, my Lord. Make it
but
plain.
because they are powerless.
Say that.
Even today, we still measure the worth of the individual by his or her natural resources,
Yes.
the position they hold, the degrees they have,
Go on.
and the size of their bank account.
Go on.
Great respect is given to the work of the individual. It is easy for us as black people to sit and complain about the condition of this state,
My Lord.
about this country, about the world.
Yeah.
We complain, and rightly so, about the burning of black churches,
Yeah. Yeah.
corruption of the local, state government, and the NAACP. Health care, Medicare, Social Security, unemployment,
Yeah.
child abuse,
Go on.
the two-party system, and the Republican Congress, when we fail to go to the polls and vote. Get involved in voting registrations. Remember the Million Man March?
That's right.
Social, political, and education reform. We suffer defeat by default.
Come on. Don't show up.
It was Frederick Douglass who said, "We cannot vote ourselves a free man, but we can vote ourselves a slave."
Yeah.
Secondly, let's move back in time and find emancipators who built the bridges between defaults.
Oh, yeah.
These great emancipators who moved this country forward were people with courage, integrity,
Yeah. Yeah.
faith, and determination. They moved because they wanted this world to be a better place
Go on.
for the children and children's children. We need a desire to achieve and work for a goal that requires perseverance, self-reliance, and a willingness to fail if need be. Our country and this nation was carved from the hearts and minds of people who was dedicated to serve. Let's look at some of these great emancipators. Let's think back. Dr. Martin Luther King
Oh, yeah.
led the boycott revolutionary Americans and stated, "I have a dream that one day my poor little children will not be judged by the color of their skin,
That's right.
but by the content of their character."
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at another one. Sojourner Truth, born a slave in New York City, sold 3 times before she was 10 years old. After receiving her freedom, she preached freedom and pledged justice for all.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Rosa Parks,
Yeah.
who refused to give up her seat in Montgomery, Alabama. And she ignited the civil rights movement that could change America. Wait a minute. Let's just call the roll.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Now, I remember the Mitchell family.
Go ahead. Right.
Clarence Mitchell,
That's right.
Karen Mitchell, Al Sharpton,
Uh-huh.
who is always on the go. Our president, Elijah Cummings.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wait a minute, I see. But see, Daddy.
Yeah.
These are the people around you in this church. Call them all in this church.
Yeah.
Look around you. Those of you
Yeah.
who just get up and do.
Yeah.
That's
Tracy,
Yeah.
Avis,
Yeah.
her husband. Look at all those people. Dr. Pam. All of you.
That's right.
That's right.
All of you out there.
Yes.
All of you. Right here, Mr. Davis, Reverend Thompson, Brother Chuck,
Thank you, Lord.
Sister Kelly. Call the roll.
Yeah.
Look at our young people, your daughter.
Thank you, Lord.
Keep on, just continue to call the roll.
Right.
Sister Adrian, the roll, it goes on and on and on. for these people that we have. What was it that gave these pioneers significant integrity,
Yes.
awareness,
Yes.
boldness, fortitude to stand up and weather the storm? They stood because they had a vision
Yes.
and a dream for a better tomorrow. But the Bible says, without a vision, our people will perish. When they stood, a nation stood because people stood for something.
That's it.
Today, the very fabric of our country and the American dream is being torn apart by the uncertainty and fear of insecurity, unemployment, drugs, crime, violence, and the government cutback is turning its back on human needs. These fears have taken a toll directly and indirectly on members of our community.
My Lord, my Lord.
Our challenge is to bring about positive changes in the lives of the people we see daily.
That's right.
We should once again revisit the proclamation and the motto of Harriet Tubman when she said, keep going.
Good teacher.
When she led the slaves towards freedom, she said, children, if you are tired, keep going.
Keep going.
If you are scared,
Keep going.
keep going.
Yeah.
If you are hungry, keep going. If you want a taste of freedom, keep going. Young people, what do you stand for today? Old people, what do you stand for today? Old people, what do you stand for today? Are we standing for reforms in welfare, education, and social security, proper housing, clean environment? Are we in action with legislation to provide for senior citizens, handicapped individuals, and those men and women who fought in the Second World War, Korea conflict, Vietnam War, the Bosnia War, and the Desert War, the war in Iraq, the war that is going on today? Many of them are still suffering with physical and mental handicaps and diseases that doctors today can't even find a cure for. As black people, we must realize that we have a mission to teach and spread God's good news, not just on the pulpit on Sunday morning, but wherever we are. We should be able to tell that God is real in our life. And if God has been good to you, you should be able to tell the good news. And if God is real, take it to the schoolhouse, take it to the courthouse, take it to the state house, and take it to the White House. Today, we need people with a mission. We need people of wisdom to tell our children the church has a meaningful influence in our life. The church has brought us where we are. Wherever we are, the church has something to do with it. Have you noticed there appears to be a different breed of young people? Just what Brother Cheryl was saying.
That's right.
Some parents have to learn a new vocabulary just to communicate with the children. I can remember when pot was something to cook in.
That's right.
I can remember when Coke was a drink. I can when a joint was a place of entertainment.
Go ahead.
I can remember when weed was found in flowers. I can remember when 50150, not the police. We must inform our boys and girls not to get in harm's way. Parents, communicate with your children. Tell them in the words of Langston Hughes,
Yes.
well, son, I'll tell you,
Yeah.
life for me and been those crystal stairs. It had tacks in it and spinners and boards torn up and places with no carpet on the floor.
Yeah.
There.
That's all
But
right.
all the time I've been a climbing on.
My God.
So boy, girl, don't you turn back,
Go ahead,
cause you
brother.
find it kind of hard. Life for me ain't been no crystal stairs. So we must today teach our children respect,
Yes.
intelligence of other people. Nobody has been blessed enough to have all the wisdom.
That's right.
It is shared among us all. I remember the time
My God.
that I went to a
Good
banquet
teacher.
and I looked
Good.
and I only had one slice of butter on my plate.
Go ahead.
I looked at the waiter and I said, "Sir, I want 3 slices of butter." He said, "No, we only give 1 slice of butter." I said to him, "Do you know who I am?
Tell him, brother.
I'm the speaker for this occasion.
Right. Well.
I want 3 slices of butter." He looked at me and said, "Do you know who I am?" I said, "No." He said, "I am in charge of the butter." So you see the significance of this story is everyone is in charge of something. Everyone knows something about something.
Yes.
You are great, but you are not in charge of the butter. I may have been able to deliver a good message, but I could not get any more butter until the man in charge of the butter gave it to me. So, this might be a message to our churches. It is a simple story, but the moral of the story is everyone in a church or any walk of life
Yeah.
has something to offer.
Yeah.
And if given a chance,
All right.
can make a significant contribution to the cause. What we need to do is find out who's in charge of the butter.
He's in charge of the butter.
As members of the church, we must realize there is much work to be done. We must all work together as God's family. If we fail to do so, we suffer.
Yeah.
We suffer defeat.
My God.
Thirdly, how do we overcome defeat?
My.
How in the world do we overcome it? Let's move back in history and call some of these men who conquered defeat.
My Lord.
Was it Frederick Douglass who said, "Where there is no struggle, there is no progress"?
Yeah.
A man by the name of Noble M. Johnson, an African-American actor who made the breakthrough in theater and founded Dr. Lincoln Picture Company in 1918. A man by the name of Scott Joplin,
Oh, yeah.
master of ragtime, and Louis Armstrong, who was the master of jazz,
Yeah.
playing the trumpet. In black culture, music exists for every occasion, from birth to beyond the grave. Music captured experience from time of slavery to the present time. We are the one who put the melody in the blues, gave joy to the Negro spirit,
My God.
and taught Americans the beauty of art and music.
That's right.
Dr. Angelo,
Yeah.
who has gone on to be
Yeah.
with our Savior, a well-known poet, an actor, an educator, a
Yeah.
historian, and civil rights actress, a professor at Wakefield University.
My God.
Dr. Benjamin Carson, a famous surgeon at Baltimore Johns Hopkins Hospital,
That's right.
became famous for operating on brain disorder. At this point in history, we must build the bridge to the 21st century by overcoming defeat.
Yeah. Yeah.
We must become concerned about child abuse. We must be concerned about drugs.
Yes, Lord.
We must be concerned about the AIDS virus. We must be concerned about those who are alcoholics. We must be concerned about health care. We must be concerned about racism. We must be concerned about education reform.
My God. My God.
In this technology age, every 8-year-old child should be able to read. And every 12-year-old student should be able to go on the internet.
That's right.
After the previous election, we should put country ahead of party and build a nation
That's right.
that all Americans can be proud of. A country divided will defeat itself.
Yeah.
Let me say that again.
Yeah. Say it, Reverend.
A church divided will defeat itself.
Tell me, my Lord.
A family divided
That's right.
will defeat itself. We must roll up our sleeves and work to keep our dream alive.
Yes, God.
We are where we are today because of our very forefathers.
Well.
They had limited education, but powerful personality.
Oh, yeah.
They had a rock-like faith and a great leadership ability. They tried to inspire us to believe
That's right.
that the only ship that will weather the storm is leadership.
My God.
And leadership is a function, not a position.
Say that.
They stood tall and explained they had something to offer. They empowered us to believe we can be somebody. They cried out, if you want to be somebody, walk like somebody, talk like somebody, act like somebody. Because all of God's children are somebody.
Somebody. That's right.
You may be somebody's only hope. You may be somebody's only light. So walk
My God. My God.
and let your light shine. I did not say make your light shine. I said you let your light shine. Some of us have a pathological association with blackness. Some good examples are, remember O.J. Simpson?
Well.
American hero, remember? Way back then. Remember Clarence Thomas, a Supreme Court judge? And there was others. It's all right to be concerned about being black, but what can we do about it? I am am black. I was born black. And guess what? That's right, I'm gonna die black. Before I went to high school, I was colored. When I finished college, I was Negro. Years later, I was called black. And now I am African American. But I know who I am. Understand who I am. It is not the hair on my head that makes the difference, but what's inside of this. Tell you a little story about a friend of mine was a great storyteller and told the story of a hunter out to look for a big grizzly bear. The man did not take any chances. He put on his belt and suspenders, took a double-barrel shotgun, and went out to the forest looking for that bear. After an extensive search, he saw the bear coming towards him. He took out his double-barrel shotgun, missed the head of the bear, shot him in the neck. The bear just kept coming towards him. The man said, "I'm not worried. I have another bullet." Just as he aimed the second time, a bee stung him on the face. And guess what? He missed the bear altogether. Can you imagine an 800-pound bear coming at this man or coming at you with an empty gun? Someone asked, "What did you do?" The man replied, "I saw a tree and the limb was 30 feet above the ground." The man said, "Don't lie." And you jumped what? Jumped 30 feet. He replied, "I didn't catch it on the way up, but I caught it on the way down." Many of us, cannot tell what we can do until the bear gets after us. Now, I ask you this morning or this afternoon, what is the bear in your life? Your bear can be your son or your daughter taking or selling drugs. Your bear can be AIDS. It could be unemployment. Your bear can be cancer. Or high blood pressure or diabetes.
Everybody got a bear.
And the list goes on and on and on and on and on. Because I was reading in the Baltimore Sun paper some time ago, and this is true now, about a little boy who was 11 years old who was depressed. And it seemed that he was defeated. He was planning his own funeral. The boy stated, "These are the songs that I want you to sing at my funeral. And this is the outfit that I want to wear. I know I am not going to live very long. This is not what Dr. Martin Luther King lived and died for.
That's right.
I have come to tell you this afternoon, it is our moral responsibility to give these young people something to live for, something to stand up for, and something positive to say yes to. And a God to believe in. We can remove the bear by voting to ban assault weapons that are killing our boys and girls. We can familiarize ourselves with school and welfare reform. Whatever your bear is, whatever I said your bear is, all you have to do is to take a leap and faith.
Yeah.
And if you leap, you can do more than you think. Eleanor Roosevelt said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent.
Yeah.
History tells about the Penguin that lived on the coast of Florida and had lived there for many years. They had eaten nothing but shrimp. They would feast on shrimp. After many years, the shrimp bed dried up, and the pilgrims had nothing. The Penguins had nothing to eat, and eventually they all dried out because they didn't know how they could walk out into the water and catch some live fish. My friends, you too will die if you don't find a way of doing things. If you don't find a new way to look at your problem. If you continue to do the same old things, smoke, use drugs, and do all these old crazy things that you think is good for us, we will try it. If we fail to register to vote, if we forget, if we forget God, you will be just like that pimp, penitent. Die out. Your past must inform your future. In this faith society, we must search for the truth. New methods. Move into the world of technology and live. Last story to tell you. Down on a farm. How many of you have ever lived on a farm? Besides me. And you know, on the farm, there is a bird called the woodpecker. And this woodpecker will come out at night and peck on a tree. And we could hear him for miles around. The legend was, if the woodpecker continued to peck on the trunk of the tree would fall. One day we was walking through the woods and saw the tree that had fallen. And the woodpecker had not touched it. What we found out after examining the tree, it had termites. Nobody knew they exist. Nobody saw the termites. But they existed. But the termites just kept eating away the tree, and the tree fell. This simple story tells us sometimes in our churches that we have termites eating away at our hearts of our programs. No one knows they exist. But if they keep on eating our churches, we'll fall. Are you a woodpecker making a lot of noise, or a termite eating away at the heart of the church? We will be victorious if we all work together. The goal to liberate people and lift them from dependency to independence, from welfare to work, from childbearing to responsible parenting. If we do this, we can move into this century with possibilities that our parents could not dream of. Take pride. Always remember, when we have a setback, don't you step back. Remember, God has your comeback. This is a very critical time for African American churches and the NAACP. Since we are in the 21st century, we should serve as a catalyst to make things happen. Be concerned, my brothers and sisters, with economic development, education reform, international affairs, physical and mental health, political awareness, and voter registration. Take pride in your church and community. Stay involved. Keep fighting for what is right, and remember, every day is a new beginning, and every life is a blessing from a God. So I want you to remember the words of this song. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light. Keep us forever in the path we pray. Lift our feet straight from the place, and God where we met thee. Least our hearts drink with wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand. True, true to our God, true to our native land. So my word to you, my brothers and sisters today, don't be defeated by default. God bless.